Baking show host Prue Leith seems like everyone's granny, but did your granny ever drown a litter of kittens? Prue Leith had a privileged upbringing, but its circumstances were tied to unsettling truths. She was born in 1940 in South Africa, then a sovereign state of Great Britain. Leith was just a young girl when apartheid, the legal separation of races, became national law. As a result, the only non-white people Leith ever interacted with growing up were servants that worked in her home. Still, Leith's family was liberal and opposed South Africa's political situation. Leith's mother was a founder of the Black Sash, a women's group that publicly protested against apartheid. Leith herself was arrested for protesting with some fellow students, but it wasn't until she went to Paris as a teenager that she realized how little she understood about non-segregated society. In conversation with Big Issue, she said, "If I could go back to the teenage Prue now, I'd tell her to be more sensitive about what it was like to be repressed. I'm ashamed to think how, when I was 16, I skipped down the street giggling away with my girlfriends, and venerable old black men would get off the pavement and walk in the gutter so these idiots, who didn't even notice him, could pass by." When she was around 11, Leith's mother instructed her to drown a bag of newborn kittens in an effort to curb feline overpopulation. The traumatic experience was detailed in her 2012 memoir, Relish: My Life on a Plate, later released in the US under the title I'll Try Anything Once. Young Leith's pleas against hurting the litter went unheeded. She ultimately carried out her mother's wishes, but wrote that the experience haunted her. The story caused a ruthless social media backlash, with some vowing to no longer watch the Great British Bake Off because of what Leith had done. Leith cleared the air to People magazine, saying, "I can't bear the thought that people on Twitter really think that I would want to drown kittens." Leith was a student in Paris when she became pregnant at the age of 15. The man was a French circus performer who pressured Leith into having an illegal abortion, a dangerous and scary situation in the 1950s. Leith admits she was terrified that the procedure might go wrong, but that the fear of revealing the pregnancy to her parents was worse. Leith was instructed to visit the top floor of a local house where she paid a woman to perform the abortion. Her assumption that the procedure would be painful or even barbaric proved incorrect. She was given an injection of an unknown substance which ended the pregnancy. Leith's public persona as a sexually liberated woman has been empowering to her female fan base. Yet for 13 years, her love life was a total secret. Not only did Leith spend over a decade of her life in an extramarital affair, the man she fell for was the husband of her mother's best friend. His name was Rain Kruger, and Leith had known him since she was a child. In her memoir, Leith claims to have hero-worshipped Kruger from the age of 7. When Leith moved to England in the early 1960s, she stayed with Kruger and his wife, actor Nan Monroe, who appeared in such films as Jane Eyre. Leith knew the affair was wrong, but regarded Kruger, 20 years her senior, as the most influential person in her life. Once in her 30s, Leith's desire to have children was too strong to ignore. Over 10 years into the affair, she tried to leave Kruger and move on, but when she did get pregnant, the couple came clean. Leith and Kruger went on to marry and raise 2 children. They were together until Kruger's death in 2002 at the age of 80. Leith has also admitted she and Kruger dabbled in recreational drug use together. The substances were his idea. Leith said that Kruger believed drugs should be legalized. In the 1960s, the couple experimented with LSD, but one experience with the psychedelic had long-term effects on the would-be dame. Leith recalls the trip starting off euphorically until things took a sharp turn into the terrifying. Ghastly hallucinations invaded Leith's mind. The walls breathed and the air in the room was visible. She looked down and saw the skin on her arms dripping off the bones. Leith turned to her beloved, hoping for reprieve, but remembers his back appearing monstrously swollen. One horrific acid trip was enough to steer Leith away from the drug for good. Unfortunately, as much as she wanted to forget about that time she touched LSD, she's been physically unable to. Some 40 years later, Leith said flashbacks and nightmares of the incident still plagued her. She woke from unsettling dreams and could still see the air in the room. Leith initially made a name for herself with her catering company, Leith's Good Food, which she established at the age of 20. One tragic catering event, however, threatened to shatter the reputation of the business. During her Nothing in Moderation speaking tour, Leith shared a scary anecdote about people getting seriously sick at an event Leith's Good Foods catered. She admitted that 28 people were hospitalized after eating her chicken and mayonnaise dish, with one guest in critical condition. The culprit was a chicken added at the last minute to accommodate a larger-than-expected guest list. It was improperly prepared, and the chicken meat was mixed with the previously prepared food, tainting the entire batch. Leith added that the venue had no refrigeration, so the dish sat out for the entire lunch service on a hot day. She said the event still haunts her, and that the man she nearly killed was an elderly high court judge. She credits the early career blunder as a wake-up call. In 2012, Leith watched helplessly as her brother David died in immense pain from bone cancer. Seeing the agony David endured in his final days turned Leith into a staunch supporter of assisted dying. David was 74 at the time of his death, but was refused therapeutic doses of morphine because doctors feared legal repercussions. Hopeless and desperately ill, David refused antibiotics to treat pneumonia so he could finally rest. Leith remains an outspoken member of Dying with Dignity, a campaign that works to overturn the UK's current assisted dying ban. The Great British Bake Off cast has Leith's back. Since 2018, the series has hosted the Great Celebrity Bake Off for Stand Up to Cancer, a 5-episode special in which celebrities square off in the quest to be named Star Baker. The annual episodes help the Stand Up to Cancer organization raise money for Cancer Research UK. Like Leith, many of the celebrities who participate have joined the fight against cancer for personal reasons. What was supposed to be a spell of relaxation on the coastal waters of Sardinia shifted toward a brush with death when the motorboat Leith was on broke down, leaving her lost at sea. Unable to get the boat's engine started, Leith was at the mercy of the sea currents. She spent an entire day drifting on the water, her fear growing with each passing hour. The boats that passed weren't within shouting distance, so like Tom Hanks in Castaway, Leith tried to grab their attention by waving her arms. Mistaking her panic for enthusiasm, the boaters waved back and continued on their way. Finally, a local fisherman recognized Leith's situation. On the ride back, he lectured Leith on how her naive behavior could have drifted her out to sea. Leith, sunburned and thirsty, was simply grateful to see land again. It's never easy to start a new job, and when Leith replaced Mary Berry on the Great British Bake Off in 2017, she was entering a cast that had a well-established fan base. Leith's debut season went off without a hitch, until an innocent mistake unleashed a mob of angry internet trolls on the already embarrassed dame. As the season finale was set to air, Leith was instructed to congratulate the winner in a social media post after 10:30. Leith was in Bhutan at the time, where it was well past 10:30, so she fired off a congratulatory tweet to Season 8 winner Sophie Faldo. The problem? Bhutan is several hours ahead of London time, meaning Leith tweeted the finale results early.
The thing that upset me most was I thought this will take attention off the winner.
Leith was quickly made aware of her mistake and the tweet was deleted, but within the 89 seconds it was active, it had been retweeted. Leith confessed on an appearance of the UK's This Morning that she had made a major blunder.
You have to be a real idiot to do that.
Leith's entrance into the Great British Bake Off family was not a departure from the show's original format. Leith replaced British cookery legend Mary Berry, who is 5 years her senior. Still, Leith has come under fire from internet trolls criticizing her age and fashion sense. For her part, Leith maintains that there is no real controversy, as the Great British Bake Off remains focused on one thing: baking. She told the Sacred Podcast, "I don't want to use the word safe space, but that's really what it is. It's somewhere where you can switch off for an hour, watch cake. What could be nicer than watching cake other than eating cake? And know that nothing nasty is going to happen. I mean, the only stress will be the bakers running out of time or something. It's not your stress, it's their stress." Leith's son is British politician Danny Kruger. In recent years, Kruger has taken conservative stances on pressing social issues. Leith states that while she will always love her son, she does not share his view on certain matters. Kruger got himself into hot water when he proclaimed that women should not have complete bodily autonomy when it comes to abortion. Leith endured a heaping of vitriol from the public because of her son's statement. She quickly reminded everyone that she does not agree with what he said. This was further represented when Leith and Kruger faced off about assisted dying, one of Leith's dear causes. The two even filmed a documentary TV special, Prue and Danny's Death Road Trip, which aired in 2023. In the special, the duo tour North America while dissecting and debating the finer points of assisted dying.
It's legal for them to commit suicide. Why can't they get somebody to help them do it?
The Great British Bake Off is known as a festive show, one which occasionally involves dressing up in costumes. But in 2020, one episode contained a surprise, as Leith was unexpectedly on crutches. She revealed that she snapped her Achilles tendon while filming and was in recovery. Ultimately, she was on crutches for 2 episodes. The cast was filming a Wizard of Oz-themed skit when Leith, who was portraying the Cowardly Lion, leapt onto the yellow brick road and felt a debilitating pain in her ankle upon landing. The injury forced Leith to rely on crutches or a wheelchair, which gave her a new perspective on the difficulties of being disabled. She told The Spectator that there are not nearly enough ramps to facilitate people on crutches, and that using a wheelchair in Gatwick Airport resulted in her, quote, being rescued by a stranger responding to my banging the door with a crutch. It only seemed like a matter of time before Prue Leith took her show on the road. Leith's life has been colored with so many character-building experiences, and her willingness to share them candidly has drawn an audience. But as experienced as Leith is, she found her foray into live public speaking unbearably anxiety-inducing. Leith's stage fright nearly overcame the culinary veteran. She spoke of feeling nervous when her talking tour, Nothing in Moderation, was still in its early stages, and that extreme nervousness would grip her despite only 4 people being in the room. Before a live show in New York, Leith's anxiety caused her to lose her voice. Her onstage jitters needed special attention. Leith said she took beta blockers on the recommendation of a doctor. The widely used anti-anxiety treatment allowed her to get more comfortable on tour, where she was especially excited to interact with her many fans.
They love me in America, mainly, guess why? Because I'm on Bake Off and everybody loves Bake Off.